Just when I thought that I've seen it all. I've read many a great fan fiction, seen vast armies laid waste by undead hordes, seen worlds devastated by a virus only to be saved by a hero who saved humanity from a great alien threat. Arcs which flew, bringing life to a galaxy only to unravel a greater mystery. Gates that open to vast wastelands, into a world of life and wonder. Ladies and gentlemen, I have read many a great fanfiction. I've seen many things in my life. But Shadow Trooper, aka Merc, decided to give us something that I hold near and dear to my heart. And let me tell you folks, this holds great potential. But I'm kind of in the wrong attire to talk about this one, so let me change real quick. Ooh, I look hot. Now I'm in the proper attire for this one, ladies and gentlemen. For you see, Mercury, Shadow Trooper, decided to grace us with this wonderful idea of what would happen if the DC Universe ended up in the Mojave Wasteland.
Just take all my money! Oh, not this soon! Not this soon! Ah!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, not just any DC Universe, no. I'm not talking, of course, about the Batman from '04. I'm not talking about the newer Batmans, or Batman Brave and the Bold. No, 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 no. I ain't even talking about the new animated movies. No. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about, of course, the Timverse, i.e., Batman animated series, Superman animated series, Justice League Unlimited, and all the other shows that came to be. Ladies and gentlemen, what would happen if the villains, morally gray mind you, ended up in the Mojave Wasteland?
Oh! Hold on! I dropped my pen!
And that's exactly what happens. For the test chapter that was released in Mercury's, of course, testing grounds, which of course is his little collection of test chapters, little openings more or less, vignettes, to kind of give us little bits of things here and there, of what would happen if these people showed up in the Mojave Wasteland.
Oh, hell no!
Who are the villains, you may say? Well, you're gonna like it. The villains in question, of course, are Lex Luthor, Harley Quinn, Ivy, Deathstroke, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, Captain Cold, Mr. Freeze, Cheetah, and Livewire and Volcana. And let's just say this, ladies and gentlemen, things are looking good from the opening, because he basically incorporated not only the opening of Fallout New Vegas, but also adding into it. Lex Luthor is now working with Mr. House. The Penguin and Two-Face, among the villains, is actually running the Tops. And I mean the Tops Casino, well, not the Tops Casino, my bad, is actually running the Ultralux, and Two-Face running the Gamora. These are the villains in the strip. Not only that, but they came about during the Battle of Hoover Dam. Deathstroke is basically working with the Rangers in the NCR military. Deadshot and Captain Boomerang, of course, are working with the NCR military as soldiers of fortune. Poison Ivy and Harley apparently are in a vault that, let's just say that makes a lot of sense, and apparently are making it a sanctuary. If he's basing it off of the comic where they actually did make a sanctuary for a lot of orphan children during either the Great Earthquake, which basically separated Gotham from the continental US and basically had it be its own independent nation, or, of course, during the certain apocalyptic comic event, which caused most of the surviving humans to go off-world, then already he can incorporate a lot of Harley Quinn, the show, into the Timverse, Harley Quinn and Ivy.
You damn straight!
Including some of the adorableness that Ivy can't exactly say no to Harley sometimes, but she can say no to Harley sometimes. Just kind of reel her in some of her antics. Mr. Freeze and Captain Frost, or Captain Cold, of course, are not seen. They're MIA. We don't even know what's going on with Cheetah. But from what we do know, is that a lot of the morally gray villains are there. But there is one thing, though. Apparently Livewire, as we know of her past, being a disc jockey, a punk girl, apparently has taken up residence in the Black Mountain radio station, basically spitting some jams and being the counter to Mr. New Vegas, or the New Vegas radio. And also, among the heroes, of course, are Black Canary, Superman, Wonder Woman, Wildcat, and the Teen Titans. What we do know is that apparently Canary is now singing at the tops, if the opening is anything to go by, or at least the test opening is anything to go by. As to everyone else, we don't know. And that's the thing that makes this even better. And let me say you this right now. This can go one of many ways. Because this right here is exactly the idea that can be done. He took essentially the idea of what Batman Ninja showed, which is basically a weird MacGuffin causes heroes to go back in time, except in this case, it's them going to another universe. We've seen this happen before in the Timverse, like with Superman when the Death of Superman episode aired, and we saw him go to the future, the far-flung future where essentially the apocalypse happened and all life was wiped out. And the only person left, of course, being Vandal Savage, because Vandal Savage can't die, technically. But this can work in so many ways. We know the technology that is in New Vegas, specifically Big Mountain, meaning that if Merc does actually go through with this story idea, he could find a way to basically make the two worlds be connected, meaning that we could essentially have what he has with Gate Wasteland mixed with what he's presenting here. Because here's the thing, when it comes to the Wasteland, especially the Mojave Wasteland, there is a lot of political play in the three factions that are vying for control over the Mojave Wasteland. Be it, of course, from the good old boys of the NCR, who have a bad rep because of those with money basically shirking the politicians along. Then again, that's kind of what's happening nowadays, ain't it? Be it, I'm not going to get into politics right now. Or, of course, the Slaving Legion. Or even basically the suaving businessman that is Mr. House. That's not even talking about the other games of what's going on in DC or even in the Commonwealth. And that's a big one right there. Because if Merc does go through with this, he has so many ideas to do. Not only do we follow the Teen Titans and whoever other heroes are in the Wasteland themselves, through this, we basically follow them as they go through the quest lines of New Vegas, and we know the moral gray area of Vegas. Hell, the big one is that some of the Titans will have to kill, or at least come to terms with the fact of they will have to kill people. A lot of other stuff that can definitely come into play here is that when they do find a way, and they do get to Big Mountain, and they start messing with the technology there to basically make a gate, because yeah, sure, let's try and find a way to teleport ourselves back to our own reality. Sure, let's do that. And be boring about it. Or find a way to actually open up a gate between this reality and the other reality. Because let's face it, even they know that this world needs a lot of help. And in their mind, mind you, the Justice League is the only ones that could help, or at least offer some help. And as soon as that floodgate is opened, and I mean this, as soon as that floodgate's opened, every single cape and costume person will make a freaking exodus to this world. Not just trying to help rebuild it, but also trying to find their own slice of it. Essentially like Manifest Destiny 2 Electric Boogaloo. Like us going to the West, basically trying to carve out our own piece of land. And that's exactly what the Mojave is, if you think about it. The Mojave is essentially the Wild West. The Wasteland is essentially the Wild West, where anyone and everyone can essentially go through this sucker and carve out their own little piece of the pie. Not to mention New Vegas. New Vegas being a very big part of it, but again, that's the thing. We can basically see the storyline through. This storyline could essentially have it to where it's like that. They're basically going from the Mojave eastward. Just a reverse Manifest Destiny, where instead of going west, they're going east. And again, it's one of those things of, it can work because we get to explore the wasteland. Hell, Merc could incorporate a lot of the old Fallout games into this, including Fallout Tactics, and we can see what happened to the Midwest Brotherhood, and how the Midwest Brotherhood is doing, especially with those endings that are presented. We could actually see DC in the 3 years after the main events of Fallout 3. Even bigger. When Fallout 4 does come around, and yes, everyone has their own issues with Fallout 4. Don't get me wrong, I know the thing has issues, but the modding scene is amazing. You gotta admit that. But this is fanfiction. Merc, if he was to do this, as in, this is a plot line for later on down the line. If he was to do this, he could basically have it to where it's expanding outward, and the heroes, especially those who have been in the Mojave Wasteland and are now doing work in the Mojave Wasteland a lot longer than those over here, could basically go here and actually see what's going on. The Boston plotline is a big one. Hell, he could even incorporate mods if he wanted to, like the Enclave mod, which I'm needing to play when I get a better rig to actually play it, and I don't gotta worry about crashes left and right. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's just one of the many possibilities. But what about the Mojave Wasteland? What about the Mojave Wasteland? You're asking. What about the DLCs that are coming in the Mojave Wasteland? That's a biggie. Because, here's the thing. The Mojave Wasteland, as I stated before, is a lot of moral gray areas, and a lot of just straight up, there is no good ending to this whatsoever. This is all politics, reputation, and just politicking. And not talking about, of course, the war with the NCR and Caesar's Legion. Not even talking about the fact that there are Enclave remnants in the Mojave Wasteland. Not even talking about, of course, the many factions that are there, that you have to literally work yourself around to make sure that everyone is playing nice and not trying to go to war with each other. Hell, I could see a lot of fun elements to come from this, especially from the boomers. And yes, the boomers. Because as soon as they see a man flying with no means whatsoever, they'd basically probably worship that guy like a god. But then again, this is set in an alternate 1950s. The 1950s were a big era for cape and costume crowds. I mean, think about this. They're being told that actual superheroes are a thing. We saw this with the Antagonizer and the Mechanist in DC. There are a lot of kids who read these comic books that have survived the war. So seeing the actual superheroes and superheroines will give them hope in a basically bleak wasteland. And that's, again, there is a lot to do there. But all I'm saying is this. Aside from Merc, people take this idea and do whatever you want with it. Be it, of course, from the first Fallout, second Fallout Tactics, even Fallout 3, New Vegas, the DLCs, 4, the DLCs. Anything. Even 76. As much as people want to hate that game, there is still some decent plotline out of that. There's still a decent plotline that can be made out of that. Somebody take this idea that Merc is presenting and roll with it. Take what I've said, roll with it. But if you want to read this yourself, and this amazing opening he has done, pin comment down below. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Owl, the common man's airsofter who presents these awesome test chapters for you to check out for yourself and to leave comments on. Because don't leave comments just on my video, but leave it in the test chapter itself. Let him know what you think about this. Let him know what you can do with this. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all in the next video. And if you want to help support the channel, consider donating to the PayPal down below. It's folks like you that actually make what we do here possible. And one of the big goals for the PayPal is getting a Fallout neon sign right here to replace the SRU blueprints to help expand the Fallout background in these videos. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I shall see all you in the next one. And I might as well say this, next time we take a look at what happens when Columbia from BioShock Infinite shows up in the modern US. Till next time.